Well, happy, beautiful evening. Happy, beautiful Christmas. Happy, beautiful, slightly early 2025. Dr. Bob Rakowski here on this week's conversation on success. And tonight I'm going to share a proven game plan to create your best year ever. So I took a course a number of years ago with Darren Hardy called Insane Productivity. And I'm going to share the lessons of that incredibly valuable course. First and foremost, Les Brown, another great teacher, great speaker, says if you're ever talking to an audience, they want to know three things about you. Number one, who are you? Number two, what do you have? And number three, why should I listen to you? So I like to tell people, besides being a family man, a father, a brother, a son, a grandfather, all those things. I'm an educator and I'm a healthcare provider. Over 30 years of clinical practice, and I've treated all ends of the spectrum, from elite professional athletes to the critically ill and everything in between. And I've also taught functional medicine seminars on nearly every topic that you could imagine on 6 different continents. As a networker, our team has generated over $54 million in sales. November was our biggest month ever. December is usually a little setback from there, but November, we're on a very good trend there. When we talk about creating our best life, we're not one-dimensional beings. I like to tell people that we're mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, social, financial, and impactful beings. And we should have strategies to excel in every one of these areas of our life. Now, John Maxwell, I've been kind of binging on his wisdom and leadership lately. He's estimated to be the most prolific leadership author ever. But I like this quote. He says, one is too small a number to achieve greatness. So what does that mean? If you can achieve your goals alone, they're probably not very big goals. If you want to have an impact, you should create a team. And it's been said, the bigger the dream, the more important the team. 2 different books I'll point out here. One, Your Network is Your Net Worth. Certainly it is. And how about this next one? Networking is everything. So unless you're living alone, in a cave or something like that, if you're interacting with the world, your interactions are going to be the most important thing. And the people that you can rally to really support you and your causes and your efforts are going to be very important to your life success. So John Maxwell says, if you're going to influence anybody, if you're going to lead anybody, they want to know 3 things about you. Number one, do you care about me? I'm going to encourage you to care about everybody. That's really how life should be lived. Can you help me? Well, develop the skills or share the resources or point to other mentors that can help them. And then how about this one? Can I trust you? Stephen Covey wrote a book about the speed of trust. And very, very simply, he said, in business, nothing moves faster than the speed of trust. So we want to develop that know, like, and trust relationship. And then Jim Rohn, one of his best strategies ever, work harder on yourself than you do on your job, because as you get better, stronger, faster, smarter, you have more capacity, you have more leadership skills, you have more influence, and really more options ahead of you all the time. Now, I've been a fan of AI and really enjoying asking them some questions. So I asked ChatGPT, listen, how much of your success in life is what you do, or basically who you are as you do it? So, think about a football in the hands of Tom Brady, worth hundreds of millions, if not billions, whereas in someone else's hand, certainly less than that. So who you are, how you show up, what you bring, your skill set, your energy, everything counts much, much more than what you do. So this is a simplification of Napoleon Hill's formula for success in Think and Grow Rich. Number one, you should know what you want. He had 6 steps. I'm going to cut it down to 3. Number 2, you've got to know what price you're willing to pay. And then number 3, pay that price. I will also encourage you, know what price you're not willing to pay. I would not sacrifice health to get ahead. I would not sacrifice family. I would not sacrifice relationships. You want to have your priorities straight. Money's nice, beyond a certain level. It doesn't really give that much more happiness. So don't sacrifice everything seeking that dollar success. And we're going to look at each of the life areas: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, social, financial, and impactful. And here's a simple strategy that's worked for success as long as I've been studying it. You need both measurability and accountability. If you can't keep track of it, kind of hard. And if you don't take personal responsibility, you're really not getting anywhere. So Darren Hardy in his course, Insane Productivity, says, look, whatever you want to accomplish, you should measure and track it every single day. So you want to rate yourself anywhere from 0 to 10. 0 means I made no progress in this life area. 10 was you hit your target for that. Now, I'm going to show you some pretty easy targets to hit because I read a book recently called Big Goals. And they said very, very simply, when people set a really big goal, they usually lose track of it. It's much more motivating to set little goals. And so I'm going to share strategies to set littler goals. We want to have things that'll move us forward. We're not going to do nothing. We're going to do something, but we want things that we can do every single day. And then I'll show you my score sheet at the end of how my day went today. But the measure of the mental capacity, I would call that wisdom. All leaders are readers. And Warren Buffett supposedly reads nearly 8 hours a day, about 500 pages. Well, where did that take him? How about the most successful investor ever? The richest man in the world, maybe it was a decade or 15 years ago or something like that. When it comes to networking, here are my recent top 4 books that I really enjoy. Eric Worre's GoPro, 7 Steps to Become a Network Marketing Professional. That's just a given. You're going to want to get that book. That might be the Bible of network marketing. Art Williams, this How to Beat Talent, Brains, and Education Every Time. That was an audiobook, and I've got to tell you, it's absolutely excellent. Art Williams did the impossible. He started a insurance company, and he was, I think, number 2,000 in the insurance industry the year that he created his company. And he said, you know what, in the next decade, we're going to beat Prudential. And he did. A very, very, very challenging goal. And he did it in the network marketing model. And he's a billionaire. My first 50 years in network marketing, absolutely excellent book there. And then No Degree Required, an Ivy League guide to network marketing. Really enjoy all of these. And you know what? Why not take one a month, right, in this first part of the year? Pick where you want to start, go through it, read it, study it, maybe even teach it, because that's the best way to learn it. And, you know, if you want to become an expert, I found it pretty fascinating. If you read 3 books on a topic, you're going to be above average. Good start. If you read over 100 books, that should cover all the information, relevant information on a given topic. They say 50 books for an expert. Well, I've read over 100 books on network marketing. And you know what? It probably didn't take 100 books. There's really nothing new under the sun. Very, very simply, you want to show up as your best and getting better self, make a really good connection, earn the right to make a recommendation. And then if our recommendations fit, well, it makes sense that people would follow them. So my goal mentally is to read 0 to 10 plus pages a day. Minimal goal, right? Probably 10 should be the minimum there. But if you start reading, give yourself credit. 1 page, you get a 1, 10 pages or more, you get a 10. So physical, the measure of that's going to be vitality or your zest and how you show up in the world. You know, I'm studying success. I bought a course on creating your best year ever, and they talked about the cardinal virtues, which would be love, wisdom, courage, and self-mastery. But they also talked about minor virtues, hope, gratitude, zest, things like that, curiosity. And zest, or essentially another term for vitality, was the number 1 factor in success. You know, it takes energy to succeed in life. It takes energy to go uphill. And as John Maxwell would say, everything that we want is uphill. So if we're going to have physical energy, physical zest, and vitality, we should look at the big 3: eat, move, and sleep. That's a book by Tom Rath. I think at age 15, he lost an eyeball to cancer. Very unusual circumstance. He had tumors all over his body. And, you know, the doctors told him, you know what, you lost the genetic lottery. Don't ever consider getting married or having kids, because your kids will get bad genes and you'll probably never see your 30th birthday. Well, he's 45 years old in that picture, Amazon's best-selling author. And he found that when he ate right for him, his tumors would actually shrink. When he ate wrong, they grew. When he moved enough for him, not too much, not too little, his tumors would shrink. If he didn't, they would grow. And when he slept and he needed to budget 10 hours a night to get the sleep that he needed for his tumors to shrink, his tumors would shrink. So we're going to look at these. So food, first and foremost, big tobacco actually is responsible for a lot of the sickness that we're seeing through food. They actually use their scientists to make junk food addictive, and it's worked. People are addicted to these products and they keep eating them, and their health is failing. I'm looking forward to a lot of things changing over these next few years, especially as health is perceived. So this is my summary of nutritional recommendations. It's nothing specific, it's general guidelines. And within this, there are multiple Nobel Prizes for the research that came up with these conclusions. But eat real food, clean food, not too much, not too often, every color, every day, in a way that honors your physiology, your genetics, and your body goals, mostly plants. Good guidelines to stand by there. When you start looking at fitness, I asked I asked Grok. That is Elon Musk's on X. That's his AI. I asked him, does fitness enhance your ability to succeed in business? And I have the picture of Sir Richard Branson there, because he's a profoundly fit guy. And when he talked to Eric Worre, he said, look, here's my message for all entrepreneurs. Get crazy fit. Have the energy to do what you need to do to win. So what does AI say? It says, in summary, while there is evidence suggesting that fitter individuals might have certain advantages in business, there are simply many other factors. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take every advantage I can get. And I can tell you my life is a whole lot better when I am fit. And so probably no one that knows me through these calls has seen me unfit. It's been a long time since I've been there. I don't ever plan on going back. It is an investment that pays wonderfully. And a Tabata is 4 minutes of intense, 20 seconds full out, full capacity in terms of exercise, 10-second recovery, 8 rounds, that's 4 minutes. And the data is very, very good. If you actually do these Tabata workouts with a high level of intensity, you will improve every aspect of your fitness. And then finally, sleep right. When it comes to the book Peak, Anders Ericsson, the best of the best from a number of different fields. Didn't matter if it was math, science, religion, music, acting, business, athletics, whatever. The best of the best, each always slept 8.6 hours a night. And I like to say a great day starts the night before. So have a real good wind down routine. I like to call it an electronic sunset. No screens for an hour before bed, preferably no food for a few hours before bed. So rate your physical exercise. Now, it's got to be intense, right? To some degree, unless intense for you is not very intense, but it'll be guarded for you. So there's got to be some effort for it to qualify as a meaning of exercise, but rate yourself 0 to 10 minutes. And you might ask, well, what the heck could you get done in 10 minutes? I promise you a lot. You look at some of these animal flow workouts, Warrior 30, look that up, warrior30.com, Eric and Heloisa Higgins, epic training protocol. They do it 35 minutes a session, but I'll tell you, it's beyond amazing what you can accomplish with good training. Now we're going to look at emotional intelligence, or the emotional part of life, and compassion. When we look at the word passion, Tony Robbins says passion is the thing that probably drives most winners above and beyond anything else. But you look at the origin of the word, it literally means to suffer. Well, I don't want you to suffer on your way to your goals, but I want your goals to be worth suffering for. Process that for a moment, right? You should be able to be willing to put up with whatever to achieve your goals, with the exception of sacrificing your health or relationships. But it's going to take some effort. And you've got to be willing to essentially suffer. You've got to put the effort in to make your goals complete. There was an article written in Forbes years ago. It was entitled Intelligence is Overrated. And they talked about IQ, the intelligence quotient, versus EQ, the emotional quotient. And they felt that the emotional quotient was about 85% of your success. Well, one of the best ways to choose good emotions or achieve good emotions is gratitude. Lots of different studies on a gratitude journal. And for emotional, how many entries do you have in your gratitude journal? I do recommend a gratitude journal. Maybe you have a phone, keep a little page, write down something that you're happy about. These things are always with us. And give thanks multiple times a day. The more you give thanks, the more you have to be thankful for. So spiritual, one of my favorite TED Talks, Everything's Connected, Here's How by Tom Chi. And he says, I'm going to tell you 3 stories, the story of the heart, the breath, and the mind. And when he's talking about the heart, he's talking about hemoglobin having its central molecule being iron. And he says, very, very simply, iron would not exist without supernovas and going all the way back to the Big Bang. So with all of these supergalactic collisions and all these things that are happening out there, we, as the scientific community, traces it all the way back to the Big Bang. And then there's religion. And religion says, yeah, there's one origin. We just call it God. So did God create the Big Bang? Sure. If there was a Big Bang, he created it because he created everything. But let's look at Earth. 1 billion years ago, essentially very limited life on planet Earth. The atmosphere was very, very different. We couldn't live there because there wasn't oxygen in the environment. So there was this tiny little bacteria. And what it would do is actually breathe in carbon dioxide and it would exhale oxygen. And it was a very tiny microscopic, little organism, and it had a very short lifespan. Maybe it only lived a couple of days. And as Tom Chi's going through this TED Talk, he says, imagine these little organisms having a conversation with themselves or maybe others saying, how am I going to make a difference? I'm this tiny little thing. I only live a few days and all I do is breathe in, breathe out, right? Well, guess what? Those trillions of organisms created the atmosphere that created the oxygen that allows life as we know it today. And then finally, when we start talking about the mind, Tom Chi talks what he calls the palette of being. And he says, before the piano was created, no one could be a pianist. Before the computer, you couldn't be a computer programmer. Before social media, you couldn't be a social media influencer. So this is ever evolving and moving forward. And so we're all connected by what we absolutely can be. So since we're all from the same source, and most major religions have some version of the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated, I think that really is the ultimate measure. Do we see everybody as brothers and sisters? Because we all are. And shouldn't we treat each other better? High levels of kindness and encouragement all the way. Social, I show the picture of the man and the dog. I used to read every January 1, my highlights of how to win friends and influence people. I probably did that for about 20 straight years. And they talk about the dog, man's best friend. And then I'll tell a, off little bit out of balance internet joke. He says, imagine that if you are, an individual and you happen to lock your spouse in the trunk of your car and you locked your dog in the trunk of your car for about 3 days. And then you go and you open the trunk, they ask the question, which one of them is happy to see you? Well, the dog will be. I certainly would never take a chance on locking my spouse in the trunk, but you get the idea, right? The dog is always happy to see you. Now, when it comes to social, Jim Rohn had what he called his law of association. And he says we are the summary of the 5 people that we spend the most time with. And Jordan Peterson, in his 12 rules for life, his rule number 3 is make friends with people that want the best for you. Well, I would definitely encourage people to do that. You don't want people that are planning against you or not supporting you. We always want to be supported because this life has its challenges. So social, I'm going to rate my number of new conversations started. Not old conversations rekindled, new conversations started. Financial. Our network is our network. Our network is everything. And in networking, Eric Worre has his 7 skills. I'm going to simplify it for this purpose for 3 skills. Number 1, make friends, because people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And hopefully you know, like, and trust your friends. Meet their friends. That's networking. Now we're going to expand. And then finally, share resources. A resource could be a sample. It could be a 3-way call. It could be a video. It could be an article. It could be a reference that, in one study, 53% of the coffee they tested had molds and mycotoxins. That's why we test ours and have it verifiably clean. Paul Caldwell is a huge fan of deep work. And really, so is Robin Sharma, although he's a more creative author. He calls it your tight bubble of total focus. He says you want to lock yourself away and have absolutely no distractions. And he calls it his 90-91 rule. He says if for the first 90 minutes for 90 straight days, you focused exclusively on your one thing, you will get more done than most people will get done in an entire year. If that works for you, I'm going to encourage you to do it. I have done many 90-day runs with 90 minutes. And I'll tell you what, it gets overwhelming at some point in time. And I don't know many people that do 90-day runs of 90 minutes, but how about this? How about 30-minute runs? And how about commit to 3 days? So the book, Big Goals, Little Goals, right? Big goals, they're so far out in the distance, they're not very motivating. But if I make a goal, to have 5 good conversations in the next 30 minutes, that is very, very doable. So I'm going to live this year in 3-day blocks, and I'm going to commit the next 3 days, 30 minutes a day. And by the way, I plan on doing that all year long. So, if I get 120 of those, that'll be 360. I got my calendar. I'm going to keep track of it. But we want these deep work time blocks. So 0 to 10, did you get your 30 minutes of deep work uninterrupted with income producing activities, starting new conversations, following up, sharing resources, presenting? These I would call deep work. And then finally, impactful. I'm showing these dominoes because there's this very interesting nutty professor on YouTube. And his first domino is so small that he uses a tweezer to set it in place. And he says, when you knock a domino forward, it can knock over another domino that's about a time and a half its size and weight. So you see how rapidly these dominoes grow. I don't remember how many dominoes would knock over the Empire State Building, but even a certain number of dominoes could even reach the moon. But we have such capacity for impact. And this is a picture of Camilla Hiller. She's a great member of our team. I did a health consult with her because she was referred to by another team member, Andy Shunk, in 2020 or 2021. And she was in a bad way. She was at one point over 400 pounds, had a gastric bypass where they butchered her stomach and created medically induced malnutrition. And when I first Zoomed with her, she was starving to death. And we had to go through some pretty significant measures. We call it her stress reset to get her back on path. And it certainly changed her life and has given her new direction. And this is the potential of this business. We can change lives. We can save lives. And I know many people that their life got so much better that they said, you know what, I didn't want to be here much more. But now that I've got all this going on, I see that my future is brighter. I like samples. I think it's the best tool ever. And if you're going to make someone a coffee or offer them a coffee, it's good to give them the instructions to make it as they like it. The most powerful or the most common coffee in the world is actually espresso. More espressos drink than any other brand. And so if you like your coffee espresso strong, like I do, you start out with a very little amount of water, 1 to 2 ounces, 30 to 60 mLs, and then you can always dilute it. And remember, first impressions are very, very powerful. You make someone a great cup of coffee, they're more likely to want a second one. Don't forget about our OG Pulse app. That is absolutely powerful. We keep building improvements all along the way with that. If you have not downloaded that, check it out. New resources being added regularly. And how about 3-way calls? I was gifted a book by a 7-figure earner in network marketing. And the cover of the book, the title was, I Will Never Do Network Marketing. And I thought, isn't that an interesting cover? And by the way, it was written from the perspective of a quitter who had nothing but extreme regret, right? He started like gung-ho like so many people, then he quit. And then, X number of years later, the people that didn't quit had created their dream life. So we don't know when it's coming. It's said that success is never late. But anyways, within this book, and it's a good book, I'll Never Do Network Marketing. They recommended a movie, a little teaser, a little 5-minute movie that explained their opportunity. And he said, man, this movie is so great. Everybody is interested after they watch that movie. And I said, Joe, I got to watch that movie. He says, well, I'll send it to you, but you've got to agree to talk to one of my business partners. And I said, fine, but I'm very, very happy in network marketing. I'm already a 6-figure earner. He says, well, Our business is for people that want to earn six figures a week, right? So you knew which buttons to push on me. I'm not going anywhere, right? I certainly love organo, but I watched the video and I agreed to have the conversation. So I had the conversation. But let me tell you the value of this. If you never answer a question, if your system is to always put someone on with someone that knows more than you, then that's very, very duplicatable. What if you never had to answer a question? Hey, I'm going to go reach out to this leader and have the prearranged three-way call. That is a great way to do it. And again, it duplicates very, very effectively. So what's your impact? How many samples did you give? How many three-way calls did you set up? And then keeping score, right? There's 10 from the very beginning. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way out on the line. I let impact count twice, and there was my graph. So we are mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, social, financial, impactful beings. I know that we can have it all, especially if we know what we're going for. We're more likely to get there. Remember, one is too small a number to achieve anything great, so we're going to need to build a team. Remember, the bigger the dream, the more important the team. Our network is our net worth, and our network is absolutely everything. And with that said, I'm Dr. Bob Rakowski, absolutely knowing that we can all be happy, healthy, and successful. So good night and God bless. And may you have the best, most epic year of your entire life next year, only to beat it the year after that.